Good evening, everyone. Severe Other Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Chutt joining you for this edition of Nate at 8 on a windy Monday across the Ohio Valley. Wind gusts were in excess of 50 miles per hour, reaching those levels where we start to deal with some damage from those winds. And we did have some wind damage across portions of the area. Thankfully, nothing that was real excessive or widespread, but nonetheless, certainly felt it getting blown around by the wind today and adding some bitterly cold wind chills into the mix as well, as temperatures just dropped off as we went throughout the day from, well, what's the 60s all the way down into the 20s going through the course of last night into this afternoon. And now, thankfully, the bulk of our cooling has occurred. Temperatures are not going to drop much as we go throughout the night, but just drop a few more degrees and it'll take our wind chills into the single digits across the area. But that will be the extent of our cooling. Really not going to feel a whole lot different from how it feels now by tomorrow morning. Thanks as always for tuning in to this edition of Nate. I appreciate it. We're going to be touching on those subjects, as well as, of course, not only the wind speeds, the temperatures, but the snow. We're dealing with the snow as well for this evening. So we'll have the latest on that. In fact, we are tracking not one round tonight, 3 rounds ahead going into the new year. So yes, here over the next few days, we have 3 rounds of snow to discuss. So we'll break down how much we could be looking at, impacts, timing, when to watch for it. Wind speeds, yes, not as windy. The highest wind speeds are now behind us. We'll touch on some of those highest wind gusts observed into our area, further map out those wind speeds, still maintaining a breeze, but thankfully not as windy into New Year's Day. And we do remain cold, so there's no warm up ahead for this week. We are not as warm as what we were for last week for this week. Temperatures are going to be much colder. You'll notice that a lot of these days ahead where our highs are going to struggle to even get above freezing for a lot of the stretch here over the next 10 days. So let's jump into things, shall we? Let's jump into things. And our current temperatures across the region into the 20s. Again, we fell quickly going throughout the day, but from here, again, temperatures are going to be more stable. I still think we can drop a few more degrees. It'll take us to around 20, upper teens, but temperatures are not going to budge too much as we go throughout the night. Wind gusts still upwards of 20, 30 miles per hour, and we'll stay in this range likely as we extend throughout this evening in the overnight hours, as well as even tomorrow, coming off of the wind gusts that were in excess of 50 miles per hour. Wintersville, Wheeling, 40 to 50 in that range. Cameron, Dallas, New Cumberland, New Philadelphia, just in general, some gusty winds going throughout the day. But again, thankfully, the worst is behind us now. These winds are going to start to fall off. And I think really at this point, that range of 20 to 30 is where we're going to be likely hovering around as we go through not only tonight, but even as we go into the new year. Yes, even into Wednesday night, as we ring in the new year at midnight, the wind gusts will still likely range 20 to 30, a big improvement of 40 to 60 that we had for today for a range. So breezy, yes, but we are not nearly as windy the next couple of days. And when's the next time our winds actually turn more light? It's likely going to be into Thursday into Friday. So, towards the end of this week, New Year's Day into the 2nd of January, late this week, temperatures will, our wind speeds will start to further die down later on into the week, but still maintaining a breeze likely up until that point going through Wednesday night. And our wind chills, teens, again, as temperatures drop just a little bit more, we can get those widespread wind chills, single digits for tomorrow morning. And that's likely our range, anywhere from the single digits to the teens. That's how cold it is going to feel as we go throughout the course of tomorrow. Similar again to what we just witnessed going into this evening. It's going to feel very similar as we go throughout the course of your Tuesday. So a lot, unfortunately, if you didn't like what we had for this afternoon, evening, a lot of that does carry over into tomorrow when it comes to those wind chills. Again, wind speeds, not as bad, but, overall temperatures, lower 20s for a high, coming off of lows, upper teens near 20. Temperatures don't budge much throughout the day. Wind gusts still 20, 30 miles per hour. So still just that cold, blustery day ahead for your Tuesday. A lot of cloud cover ahead for tomorrow as well. Now, the one thing we won't deal with likely as much as we go throughout Tuesday is the snow. So we're still dealing with these snow showers here early on tonight. We're still watching. We still watching these snow showers overnight. We don't want to take them too lightly. We're not dealing with obviously anything significant when it comes to this. A high impact event is obviously not going to occur. But we still have to watch for this as we extend here through the course of the night, because we could see at times the intensity of the snow pick up in spots. And, already dealing with that dusting into a good portion of the area. And you can deal with that, dusting, coating. And it's possible if we get some of these heavier areas of snow to set up that we could be looking at accumulations that are measurable, maybe even up to an inch at most. I think a lot of us are under that threshold, but we still have to watch. Even that light amount overnight is enough to still cause some slippery road conditions, at least in some locations or some spots. So it's still worth using caution. Watch as we go overnight tomorrow morning. Not a bad idea if you allow yourself just a little extra time, wake up, see how conditions are for your area and, where you're heading. Tune into News 9 Sunrise for the latest on that as well tomorrow morning. And just use some caution in general for tomorrow morning. Again, it's not a lot, but, even that little bit of coating on these area roads is enough to still could deal with some, slick roads developing as we go through the night. These snow showers, it's going to be likely a gradual process that we'll notice these tapering off as we go through the night. And by tomorrow morning's commute, I'm not anticipating much in terms of snow showers or meaning. I still think that we could at least see some flurries persist as we go throughout your Tuesday. But in terms of anything actually accumulating is not looking likely for the daytime on Tuesday. And again, even tonight, it's not much. A lot of us are likely less than an inch in terms of accumulations. A lot of us can easily at least get a coating of snow. We're not piling up much, but even that little light amount of snow within that, trace coating up to an inch at most, within that range is enough that we could still see some slick spots, at least on our roads, if not some slippery roads in general for some locations into tomorrow morning. So still want to use some caution. So that's our first round. Remember I mentioned there was 3. That's our first round. So our second round, when to watch, of snow coming our way is going to be tomorrow night. And it's likely after midnight tomorrow night. Notice there's that snow developing late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. This will be our next round of some snow. It'll carry over into Wednesday morning, and we could see some snow showers around throughout the day Wednesday, but the bulk of our accumulations from that second round occur late Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. Our third round and our final round of snow as we go through this weekend arrives just shortly after the second for Wednesday night, and it's early Wednesday night. Notice it's already in sight by Wednesday afternoon, but it'll hold off likely after the sun sets. But notice it's right after that, early Wednesday night, leading up to the time you ring in the new year at midnight, is when a lot of the snow will fall, which makes for bad timing. Bad timing. Again, none of these rounds are, high snow producers. These are not piling up, a lot of snow, but it's the series here of some quick hitting rounds of some light snow that still can cause some impacts. And yes, unfortunately, the timing of that third round is right into the new year. So a lot of us may be trying to travel to ring in the new year, and you're likely going to be driving in some snow. And yes, it's enough to cause some slippery road conditions going into the new year. Unfortunate, I know, but it's something to keep in mind, be prepared for, plan for going into the new year. Again, this is nothing. These are not high snow producing events. This is nothing that's significant winter storm that's halting, travel across the area, but it's still enough with each of these 3 rounds of snow to produce some slippery road conditions during these time periods. So still want to use some caution. A lot of the snow showers then, it'll be tapering off by Thursday morning. For New Year's Day, we're dry. For Friday, we are likely dry. So now the question is, how much snow, right? That's the next question. How much could we be looking at? So we've got our 3 time periods. How much snow for each? Well, we touched on the first one tonight, right? That trace to at most an inch, but a lot of us are likely under that. Well, for the other 2 of rounds, I could see it. We end up with the potential for a little bit more snow for those. I don't think it's too much more for tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. So again, after midnight tomorrow night, Tuesday night, going into Wednesday morning, that's where we deal with that coating to an inch or 2. Again, I don't think it's too much more than what we're dealing with tonight, but we could have better odds to at least see an inch of snow across the area, I think, tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Again, see how not too much, right? But still enough to cause some impacts into Wednesday morning's commute. Then comes the third round. And I think this third round, which is the worst timing because, again, it's right into the time we're ringing in the new year, leading up to midnight on Wednesday night as we ring in the new year. This is the one that I think has the best potential to produce an inch plus of snow across the area. A lot of us can end up 1 to 2, some up to 3 inches of snow. Again, still, this is a high snow producing event, right? We're not tracking 4, 5, 6 plus inches of snow. But if you add these up, we're slowly piling up a little bit of snow here over the next few days. And it's enough, again, with these light amounts to still cause some headaches for traveling during these time periods. So again, watch tonight, tomorrow morning for at least some slick spots. Roads in general then could get slick for Wednesday morning's commute. And thirdly, again, roads can get slick, certainly, Wednesday evening as we're heading out, going to anywhere we want to go to ring in the new year. As we're ringing in the new year, right before that, after sunset Wednesday up until we ring in the new year, that's when that snow falls. And that's enough as well there early Wednesday night to cause some slippery road conditions. Those are the 3 rounds of snow, rough, amounts, time frames to watch for here as we go throughout this week to some impacts on travel. We get past that, again, not foreseeing anything throughout New Year's Day. Road conditions will drastically improve for New Year's Day. So we'll notice, a lot better road conditions throughout New Year's Day. For Friday, don't foresee any impacts on the 2nd. Nothing there or into this weekend. It's likely quiet as we go into the weekend once we get past that period of snow early on into Wednesday night. So that's when to watch for. In terms of impacts at this point, this would be it. Again, the winds are dying down at this point, not as impactful as we look ahead over the next couple of days. Breezy, yes, 20, 30 mile per hour wind gusts still as we go into Wednesday night. With these rounds of snow, we're still dealing with those wind gusts, which make matters worse, right? You can deal with some blowing, drifting snow. With these wind speeds, it reduces visibility as well as the snow is falling. Just to make matters worse, you can have that reduced visibility with the snow falling and those still breezy winds during these rounds of snow as we do look ahead going into Wednesday night. Let's catch up on comments now. Thank you again so much for tuning in. Hans, hello there, Hans. Good evening to you. Thanks for tuning in. Bob, good evening. Thank you so much. Linda, you are so welcome. Thank you all again for tuning in. Hans saying it's cold outside. Yeah, couldn't agree more with you, Hans. That wind certainly had a bite to it today, didn't it? Sharon, you're so welcome. Thank you. You're so welcome, Karen. Thank you all again for tuning in. And Renee, hopefully I answered your question there in terms of how much snow for Tuesday into Wednesday morning. Robert, hello. Good evening, Robert. Charlene, good evening. That wind was brutal today, lost power, but thankfully came back, which said 10 p.m. Thanks, keeping us updated. You're so very welcome. You stay safe as well there, Charlene. Good to hear. Sounds like you thankfully came back. So yeah, good to hear that your power came back. And yeah, Charlene, I think thankfully it wasn't a lot, but I know there was at least several hundred there of some power outages reported across our area. So certainly some power outages due to those high winds that we had for today, Charlene, but good to hear that your power is back on. Austin, good evening. Today was insane, Austin says. Felt the temperatures dropping very quickly. Saw a bit of snow blowing while watching and feeling the wind. Very excited for the snow to return. Austin rooting on for the snow. And again, you got a little bit tonight, Austin. Better odds for more than over the next couple of days. Again, tomorrow night after midnight, likely. Tomorrow night, late tomorrow night, that is, into Wednesday, early Wednesday morning. And then again, going into early Wednesday night as we ring in the new year. So, and yes, that being said, in terms of a white new year, which I know a lot of us, all of us wanted the white Christmas, not coming to fruition, but a white new year, our odds looking pretty good for a white new year. So we didn't get the white Christmas, but a white new year, not looking too bad. I think we've got a good chance for it, at least. I'll say that we got a good chance for a white new year coming up here later this week. You're so very welcome, Renee. Thank you as always for tuning in. I just joined. How are the roads? I have to travel from Pittsburgh Airport tonight. Watch for some slick spots there, Tam. we're starting to see, especially as the sun set and we still have some of these snow showers lingering. Just watch, and we could see some heavier snow bands continue. It's more hit or miss. Unfortunately, it's one of those situations where it's hard to predict a precise location where we can see those heavier snow bands set up, but we still have the potential for those continuing here early on tonight. And I would say the risk for that overall is a little higher into Western PA. So just watch. Right now it's okay, but just watch traveling overnight that you may still come across some slick spots. You can, I believe Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, they have just like what we have West Virginia 511, Ohio Department of Transportation, or just in general, Google Maps. If you look up the flow of traffic and you're seeing those yellow, reds, could indicate those roads are pretty slick. If you're seeing that reduction there in speeds of travel going towards Pittsburgh Airport tonight. But yes, could run into, unfortunately, at least some slick spots there going to the airport. I just watch for it. Double check again as you're going to leave tonight on how the roads will be. Austin, this morning I could see the wind blowing my curtains. My windows were closed tight, but I could still feel the cold air blowing. And yeah, it's so you could hear the wind howling, and yeah, you could feel it. Even even far from the door, it felt like you could still feel it, didn't it? It was quite cold, that's for sure. Christina, thank you for the updates of cold and snow. Got to go to Morgantown Thursday morning, and hopefully at that point should be okay. Again, that I don't think that snow lingers too long into the overnight hours on Wednesday. A lot of it's probably, like I said, right around the time we're ringing in the new year, a lot of this is likely tapering off. So a crew should have a good amount of time. Temperatures are going to be colder. So we have to take into consideration that, we are dealing with, when we're dealing with those colder temperatures in the teens, that it is harder, to see that, drastic improvement in conditions once the snow ends. So, I'd still watch, throughout the day. Thursday should be a big improvement, but maybe some of the side roads you're traveling on could still be slick there Thursday morning, unfortunately. But later on in the morning, and later on in the day, Thursday, even those side roads should really see a big improvement. Again, thankfully, it's just a matter of the timing crews can get out and clear the roads, right? And that's just another thing to take into consideration. It's always hard to try to predict road conditions. There's so many variables, right? But some rules of thumb, right? The colder it is, the harder it is to clear the roads. So temperatures in the teens, it can be harder to clear the roads, even though the snow's ending early on Wednesday night. It can be harder to clear those roads overnight to Thursday morning. What also can help clear the roads, sun. So even though the temperatures are colder, if we can get some sun to break out, that can help heat up those roads, clear them. So we can notice, even despite dealing with some cold temperatures Thursday with highs just in the 20s, that we can sneak out a little bit of sunshine on Thursday. That could really help clear those roads. And again, it's just so many variables. It's really hard to say, especially in the course, so many different, obviously roads across the area, side roads, main roads. But that's my thinking on it. It's hard to say, for certain roads, but there's variables there that are help going through Thursday. Unfortunately, I wish I could give you a better answer, but that's what I'd watch for. Christopher, what was the wind speeds and gusts currently? So we can go back to that. So wind gusts, they did reach in excess of 50 miles per hour earlier today. We saw up to 58 at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, and now thankfully not near as high winds. We'll still likely see wind gusts up to about 20, 30 miles per hour, maybe a little higher, but within that 20, 30 mile per hour range likely is where we'll see those wind gusts still reach upwards at times as we go through the night. And even as we go again over the next couple of days, these winds, are starting to diminish with respect to what we had earlier, but we're still maintaining that breeze. Not only tonight, but even as we go into the new year, really into Wednesday night, we're still seeing wind gusts range around 20 to 30 miles per hour. So breezy still the next couple of days. And yes, certainly we'll still add the chill to the air, kind of that cold, blustery conditions the next 2 days, a lot of cloud cover the next couple of days. And like we mentioned, some rounds of snow over the next couple of days as well. Full wintry blast, if you will, going into the new year, and a far cry from what we had for a lot of the warmer temperatures last week. Far cry from what we had going into Christmas Day. That's for sure. That's what's heading our way into New Year's Day. My grill moved a little on my deck. This wind is crazy. And yeah, you could really hear that wind was howling today. And what helps drive these wind speeds? Christopher's asking the temperature difference. We felt it, right? Just think how warm it was last night. We had temperatures in the 60s. Now we're seeing temperatures in the 20s. And what fuels those higher winds are the different air masses. So just think how cold this air mass is that's over us now, how warm the air mass was that was just over us last night and yesterday. That temperature difference creates that large pressure difference, and that helps really drive those high wind speeds that we're dealing with for today. You get that large pressure, what we call a pressure gradient, the difference between air pressure from this cold air and that warm air that we just felt, and that really drives those wind speeds. That really fuels those higher wind speeds that we're dealing with for today. Is those different air masses again? Just how cold this is, how mild the last air mass was. The differences there is what helps fuel that. The differences in pressure helps really fuel those high wind speeds. Thank goodness the wind is calming down. Hopefully, no one loses any electricity. And yeah, Charlene mentioned earlier, Austin did lose electricity. I saw some power outages across the area. Thankfully, it wasn't anything widespread. Thankfully, certainly still not fun to lose power. But Charlene reporter already got it back, which is great news. Hopefully, everyone else is in the same boat as well. That if they did lose power, hopefully it came back already. Yeah, never fun, but yeah, did see some power outages across the area. How cold is the current air mass right now? Well, again, we're in the 20s right now, Christopher. We're on our way likely just in the teens. So we're seeing temperatures drop off just a little bit more. So we've already noticed a lot of our cooling, and now temperatures are likely just going to drop a few more degrees. So we're already low 20s. We can drop, just shave off a few degrees from that, and we can fall just in the teens, but it's not much difference. Really, when we're talking about a few degrees, it's not really noticeable to us. It's going to feel very similar to how it feels now for tomorrow morning. It's really not going to be too much difference in terms of how it feels to us. It's going to be hard to discern the drop in just a couple to a few degrees that we can witness overnight. Christopher is saying, can you do future cast? Sure thing. Let's jump to our future cast. And we were discussing, Christopher, earlier, the 3 rounds of snow that are coming our way. So we're tracking three rounds of snow. So for the first one, well, it's occurring right now. We'll see these snow showers continue overnight and just gradually taper off tomorrow morning to the point where by tomorrow morning's commute, a lot of this is done. We still could get some flurries throughout the day tomorrow, but anything accumulating, likely not as we go throughout Tuesday. By Tuesday night, and specifically it's after midnight, Tuesday night is our second round of snow. This can deal with a little more widespread snow. It's pretty quick. By Wednesday morning's commute, a lot of this, again, is going to start to taper off. We can still see a few snow showers in place, though, as we go throughout Wednesday. Not much for snow accumulations through the daytime Wednesday. It's more so late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning that will deal with the bulk of accumulations with that second round. Then our third round arrives Wednesday evening. Now, it's likely after the sun sets, this snow will move in, and a lot of this will then fall for the first half of Wednesday night. So closer to sunset and then on. So Wednesday evening, and then continuing up towards around the time we ring in the new year, around midnight is when we'll deal with this round of snow. So it's more early Wednesday night, Wednesday evening is the time frame for our third round of snow. And from here, lingering snow showers will likely taper off into Thursday morning. And we are then looking dry for your New Year's Day. By Thursday morning, this will taper off then. So for those 3 rounds, in terms of how much we can expect, it's light amounts for each round, but the highest will likely be the third round that we get, which is unfortunate because that's a worse timing. A lot of us are heading out to ring in the new year somewhere, and we're traveling, and it's, that snow is falling right around the time we'd be heading out, going somewhere to, celebrate and ring in the new year. It's bad timing. But in terms of the amounts tonight, a lot of us are likely under an inch, but I would say just in general, that range of that trace. So, a dusting, coating up to an inch is that range tonight. For that second round, we could get a little more for some locations. So I extended it up to 2 inches, but it could be similar late Tuesday night. So after midnight tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, you get that, dusting to a coating of additional snow up to, 1 or 2 inches. A lot of us could be close to about an inch, is a way to think of it, late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. But the third round, then, again, the worst timing, early Wednesday night going into the new year. This is where I think we have the best odds to see 1+ inches of snow. So a lot of us can get, 1 to 2, some up to 3 inches of snow early Wednesday night. And not a lot, but certainly plenty enough to still cause some slippery road conditions going into the new year as we ring in the new year early Wednesday night. And, slowly but surely adding up what is good odds to be at least a couple, if not a few inches of snow here over the next 3 rounds going into the new year, which can give us then our white new year. Even though, unfortunately, of course, had the green Christmas and not a white Christmas, these light amounts still enough to cause some at least slick spots tonight, tomorrow morning, and in general, more slippery road conditions that we can see develop late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. And then again, early Wednesday night for our, commute to ring in the new year. If you're heading out, just be prepared. This can be impactful. Obviously this is not a major crippling winter storm that we're dealing with any of these 3 rounds. We're not tracking a major crippling winter storm, but it's these quick hitting weak systems that are, producing a quick burst there of, upwards of an inch, couple inches of snow. And that's still enough to cause some slippery road conditions during these time periods. So still during these time periods, watch there. Again, going into tomorrow morning, after midnight tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, and again, early Wednesday night as we ring in the new year. A lot of the snow falls right before that. So watch as the sun sets Wednesday evening up towards the time we ring in the new year. There's been a lot of that snow will fall during that period. And we could see some slippery road conditions during all of those 3 time periods I mentioned, with, again, a little worse road conditions possible with that second and third round with respect to what we're dealing with tonight. It could be more, it just could be more isolated in terms of slippery road conditions for tonight, as we're likely more dependent on where we can get some of these heavier snow showers setting up tonight. We have that potential for them, and where we do see that, the road conditions can be more slick for those areas, but it can be more isolated. So still watch for more slick spots. Use some caution still tonight, and then impacts could be a little more widespread late tomorrow night, and again early Wednesday night. That's what to watch for here for impacts over the next couple days going into New Year's Day. How unlikely is it for the Ohio Valley to experience a tornado in the middle of winter? Very unlikely, Austin. That is very rare for us. It's very rare for us to deal with severe weather in general. We still do, but it's rare for us to deal with severe weather in general, let alone a tornado. But severe weather in general is rare for us in the middle of winter. We touched on, it was last winter, we touched on the fact that we had thunder observed at the Ohio County Airport. And I wonder if I might be able to still pull that up for you guys. Because that was such a rare. Let's see. So there's the thunder in. So here's the thunder in January. But it was something else with, it was for both January as well as, I thought I had, here we go. I thought I had this here. So here we go. This was something interesting that we had last winter. So thunder in January and February. So it was January and February at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. Now, this was interesting. So since 1973 at the airport, we had thunder registered last January and February. And that was only the 5th time on record that has occurred. Other years were 2008, 4, 1976, and 1975. So that's just one statistic that I can throw into the conversation of we're not even obviously talking about severe weather here. We're just talking about thunder. we're we're talking about thunder. We haven't even got to severe thunderstorms or a tornado. We're just talking about thunder in general, and that puts into perspective of how rare it is to even see thunder, let alone severe thunderstorms in the middle of winter. So hopefully that adds to the question there, Austin, of how unlikely it is. I know you mentioned specifically a tornado, but in general, the severe weather, and in this case, even thunder. So that was an interesting statistic I added to our winter forecast as we recapped what we had for last winter, was that thunder in January and February. Rare sight for us here into the Ohio Valley, thunder, let alone for severe weather. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. I appreciate it as always. We'll leave it on our 9+1 day forecast before we say goodbye here. If you're just now tuning in, as we look ahead to the new year, it remains cold. Again, breezy over the next couple of days, wind gusts 20, 30 miles per hour, but nothing to the extent of what we had for today. Winds further diminished than Thursday into Friday. Highs below freezing likely until we get into the early part of next week, where we can climb back above freezing by Monday. At that point, a snow shower is possible. A little better odds in for some snow showers into the middle of next week. But here near term, as we go through the weekend, our best chance of precipitation is going into Wednesday night. So we have some snow showers tonight, some snow showers tomorrow night, and some snow showers early Wednesday night. Those are our time periods. We've got some quick hitting, weak systems moving through that will produce, these quick bursts of some light snow. And then from there, we're looking, much more quiet for by the time we see January roll around. It's going to be much more quiet for New Year's Day on Thursday, as well as Friday and into Saturday. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. You can catch me coming up News 9 at 10 on Fox 9 with the NBA doubleheader. And we will not have 11 o'clock newscast, but you can catch me coming up News 9 at 10 on Fox 9 for latest. And of course, as always, for the next edition of Nate at 8. We'll be back here tomorrow evening for the latest on those rounds of snow. So make sure to stay tuned for latest. I'll have the latest on the amounts, timing, impacts to watch for going into the new year. Thanks so much as always for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful night, and I'll see all of you on the next edition of Nate at 8.